Hello viewers and welcome back to American City History. We have moved on to the next city in Colorado, which is Colorado Springs. Colorado Springs is located in central Colorado. It is a semi-arid continental climate with warm summers and cold winters, often with snow. The Colorado Springs area had been inhabited by mainly the Ute, but also Arapaho and Cheyenne Native Americans for thousands of years. Colorado was claimed by France and was part of French Louisiana. French Louisiana was purchased by the U.S. in 1803. Shortly after the famed expedition of Lewis and Clark, Zebulon Pike led an expedition to Colorado who explored the area and found and named nearby Pikes Peak. The Colorado City area had no settlement, and the only people who came through there were mainly soldiers who camped there. In 1858, the Colorado Gold Rush would bring hundreds of thousands to the state. The first settlement in Colorado Springs would be Colorado City. The settlement slowly grew and was briefly the territorial capital of Colorado Territory in 1861 and 62 before being moved to Golden and then on to Denver. The area was a stop for many wagon trails which brought a few people. In 1869, a town site downstream from Colorado City was named as a stop on the Kansas Pacific Railway. This town was named Colorado Springs, and people began to move in the 1870s. The area became very touristy in the 1870s because of nearby natural sites like Pikes Peak and Cheyenne Canyon. Most of the people who came to the area stayed in Colorado Springs. Health resorts treating people mainly with tuberculosis but also other conditions came to the area thanks to the high altitude, good weather, and clean air. Colorado Springs would be incorporated on June 19, 1886. More railroads in the city arrived, and growth percentages of over 100% in the 1880s and 90s happened. People who had made money from silver and gold mining rushes in Colorado began to build large homes in Colorado Springs. Nikola Tesla built his power experimental station in the hills near the town. In 1903, miners near Colorado Springs went on strike. The governor sent in soldiers to quell the strikes, which just led to more strikes, in what was called the Colorado Labor Wars, which lasted from 1903 to 1904. The city built parks like Monument Valley Park and other institutions, like the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo. The first airfield opened in 1919 when Alexander Airport, later changed to Nicholas Field, opened in 1927 and was the first municipal airport in Colorado. The large homes in the city were turned into hotels or apartments during the Great Depression, and there would be a housing shortage in the city during the Second World War. Camp Carson was built during the war, and the airport was converted into a U.S. Air Force field for reconnaissance. Camp Carson was expanded and renamed Fort Carson in 1954. The U.S. Air Force Academy was built north of Colorado Springs. Nearby Cheyenne Mountain became the main location for NORAD. Colleges like the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs and others began to move in during the mid-1960s. The city continued to grow throughout the 20th century. Today, Colorado Springs is a major city for tourism and is one of the largest in Colorado. I hope you enjoyed this video.